privilege of being on Alex Jones' show maybe every once a month or two. But, okay, European Union. The European Union is going to have a major problem. I've already been told that. The euro will collapse before the American dollar. And whenever it does, you have 2 to 3 weeks to get out of paper. Do you remember what I told you that Mr. Fromm said to me back about 2 years ago? He said, Chaplain, if it's written on a piece of paper, it's worth the paper it's written on. He said, get out of anything that is paper. Now, do you realize what that means? That means get out of your IRAs, get out of your 401ks, get out of your retirement funds, cash in at any cost. I don't care what it may be. You're going to lose them anyway. If you don't, your Social Security, you cannot depend on it. I know you've got it right now, but you're not going to be able to depend on it for that long. You think your insurance policy is going to be worth anything whenever paper becomes worthless? And what is it that you and I use every day? We use the Federal Reserve note. And I have been told that when you see the euro collapse, you have 2 to 3 weeks to get out of every piece of paper you've got, including your bank account. If you don't, you're going to lose it. Alex, I don't know how any plainer I can put it. And they've said to me, okay, the other day one of them said to me, he said the Federal Reserve is borrowing $100 billion every 30 days. Does this scare you? It ought to scare the pants off of you. And Mr. Fromm told me 2 years ago, and I said it over your program, Alex, and that was before the Federal Reserve started buying their own debt. He said to me, Chaplain, whenever the Federal Reserve begins to buy their own debt, he said it's practically all over. Now, the Federal Reserve is buying their own debt because China and Japan and other countries aren't buying it like they did before. And last week, the Federal Reserve borrowed $100 billion every 30 days.
And by the way, that's only QE2. They've now announced QE3. They're going to start borrowing $200 to $250 billion a month.
Yes. And where is the 10-year note? Now, most people are not necessarily financially minded.
But they're dumping treasuries all over the world. Russia and China 2 weeks ago announced that they were going to stop using the dollar between trade. Now they have officially, in fact, that's in my stack, I didn't get to it today, Russia to use China currency. So we were wondering what it would be. It's going to be the Chinese currency for all their trade between each other, which is massive. They border each other. I mean, it's happening. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you. Did your source, the former CEO, not Mr. Rex, the other Atlantic Richfield former head, did he say what the time frame was? He said the time frame on oil a month ago, and suddenly it's gone up 15, 20 bucks since then and racing up. Did he say the time frame on the euro default?
He did not say when the euro is going to collapse. He merely said it's going to. He said, let this be a sign to you. Whenever it happens, he said you've got 2 to 3 weeks to make some very definite preparations if you haven't already done it. Now, many things that in your life you will begin to need to make those preparations right now because, for instance, you can't get out of your IRA in 2 weeks. They just don't let you.
Well, Lindsey, here's an example with yours truly. All the money, almost all the money I've got is just sitting there in a bank to run this operation because it costs so much to run it. You know, it takes $1 million to run it for 6 months. Anybody who's got employees and buildings and payroll and taxes and insurance knows that. So we don't have a big reserve, but we've got something because our mission. So, I mean, what do I even do with that? That's what's so crazy about this situation is I have to leave it in the bank to pay the bills and run the operation. So I guess it makes my head hurt, Lindsey.
Well, yes, it does. It'll make your head spin. And those are things that we all need to think about in advance. Now, why am I saying this? And why does Alex say these things day after day? I'm not saying this to scare you. Quite to the contrary. I want you to prepare and spare yourself heartache and save your dinner table. That's the only reason I'm telling you these things, not to keep you awake at night, but to make preparations right now, because if you prepare for the inevitable, then when it does happen, there'll be very little effect on you while the rest of the world is totally collapsing around you.
Well, Lindsey, you're absolutely right. People say, oh, the government fearmongers. Alex, you fearmonger. The government fearmongers about boogeymen with turbans on their head, and we all know 9/11 was an inside job used to set up the police state grid. Anybody in denial about that is starting to wake up as they admit it's for the American people. I'm saying be concerned about dollar devaluation. Be concerned about globalism. Be concerned about carbon taxes. And it's all happening now. California's got over 30% unemployment. Even 60 Minutes admits that. And what do, Lindsey? They slapped a carbon tax at 20% on them. They want to run that economy down in the ground.
The elite want America to collapse. I have been told this. And you say, why would they want to collapse their own economy, their own country? Very simple. You never buy something when it's at its peak and making great money. Instead, you bankrupt it, get it on pennies on the dollar, just like they did Chrysler and
GM.
General Motors. They waited until they first collapsed them. Then they took them over at taxpayers' expense through the Federal Reserve, because the Federal Reserve is no more federal than Federal Express. And the Federal Reserve basically are the elite and some others along with them. Now, whenever you collapse these corporations, then you can take them over for nothing. That's what they're going to do with the mortgage-backed securities and your house payment.
Yeah, first they sell it, though. First they sell it when it's all hot as hotcakes up front to everybody. Then when it implodes, they go, give us bailouts to fix it, and they keep the bailout money, and the derivatives are still there. Then they say, give us more bailout money, we'll fix it. Then they don't. Then everything implodes. They're flush with all the money. They come in and buy it all up for pennies on the dollar. And if you don't like it, they got the National Guard, the CIA, the FBI, and paramilitary squads ready to come and take you out. I mean, they've set this whole thing up.
They did set it up. And I was told this for the past 35 years, what they were doing, Alex, and I've had the privilege of from time to time being on your show and telling people this was going to happen. And I wasn't doing it to scare you. I was doing it because the elite told me this, and every single thing, folks, please, every single thing you're hearing Alex Jones say is the truth. You've got to listen to him every day and take to heart what he's saying. Now, Mr. Fromm told me a year and a half ago. You ready?
Yes.
I'll give you the expressions again. I've given them before, but I think you must hear these again. He said, within 2 years, you will not recognize America. Well, folks, you better believe that we're already beginning to see that take place. Again, he said, after 2 years, you will be so poor. I couldn't understand a year to a year and a half ago why this man was saying this. He said, within 2 years, you will be so poor, you will not be able to do anything about it. Folks, if we're going to turn America around, we've got to have massive movement immediately. And it can be done. Believe me, it can be done. He said again one day, he said, by 2012, the dollar will be dead. Well, they may accomplish that a little bit before 2012 at the rate they're going. The euro, it looks, will have that happen before 2012.
No, even Wall Street Journal and Der Spiegel are saying the euro could go belly up any time.
Well, I don't think you're going to see it this week or next week. From what I was told by the other gentleman when Mr. Fromm passed away.
No, they're going to suck all the little countries dry first in the name of propping it up, and then bring down Germany, France, and England.
Yes, they are. And you're seeing some things happen in England. You said you were going to get it on the program yet today. So watch these things, because these are buzzwords. Again, he said to me here back about a year and a half ago, he said within 2 years, nearly everyone will be working for the government. Could we have possibly imagined General Motors and Chrysler and the banks being taken over, 9 to 10 of them almost every week, the health care program, bringing every doctor, dentist, and everybody in as employees for the government of the United States of America? We could not have imagined this at the time of this. This man told me this, but it's taking place today exactly like he told me it would happen. Now he's saying that things are going to happen in Europe. And whenever they happen, you've got 2 to 3 weeks if you haven't already made certain preparation. And then, Alex, he told me something else recently.
Yes, give us the new intel, what you couldn't tell us until he'd passed from cancer. Tell us the new intel.
Well, first of all, Devil's Messiah. I know that this might seem insignificant to some, but it's very important to me, having been a minister of the gospel for over 50 years.
That's what they call it. They call it Devil's Messiah. What is it?
Yeah, the devil's Messiah is that plan whereby they could bring in the New World Order in America, and they knew that there was no way that they could do it until they first removed the God and the foundation upon which America was built. And in order to bring that about, they had to bring in the evolution, they had to bring in control of churches by 501c3 organizational status.
Yeah, even if you're not a Christian, you have to understand social engineers have to get rid of the old order to bring in the new. So they've dumbed us down. They've taught us to not have morals, so we couldn't recognize tyranny and resist it.
Let me give you an example. This was just so startling the other day. The European Union. You remember when the European Union was first set up, and so many Bible teachers and ministers all over the country said, the European Union is the ten-toe kingdom of the book of Daniel, and we finally have all of these prophetic scriptures of the book of Revelation by the 10 nations formation in Europe. No way! This was deception. They were trying to make fools out of the ministers of America. I didn't know it at the time. I even used to talk about this. And then it went up to 11 nations, and 12 nations, and 13 nations. It went past 10, and utterly embarrassed some of the biggest Bible scholars in America.
Well, if you really study the Bible, it says there's many antichrists. There's models of it, building. I mean, the globalists always, going back thousands of years, the Illuminists, they build similar models towards their final system.
Yeah, and they had this devil's Messiah, as it was actually called. These were the exact words that the man used. He said, devil's Messiah. And part of it, I found out, was this European Union, sure, it's all set up by the elitists. But they didn't stop at 10 toes, as Daniel talks about in his image.
Stay there when we come back. Give us
deception.
Lindsey, stay there when we come back. Tell us all the other things he told you. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Hi, this is Alex Jones. You've heard me talk about the delicious, easy-to-fix, and very storable foods from eFoodsDirect.com. I've told you for years that eFoods Direct has the best storable food on the planet. Now it's that time of year again, and their holiday special is here. They have 2 holiday price packs for you to put into your reserves for a secure future or to share with others. The first is a 6-month bulk supply in 10 cans. And the second is a 5-week supply of quick and easy-to-fix meals, including delicious bakery items shipped in heavy tote bags. Now, for a limited time, when you order 2 or more of these special holiday packs, you'll get free shipping on your entire order. Call now, 800-409-5633. Or visit them at eFoodsDirect.com/Alex. That's 800-409-5633. Or eFoodsDirect.com/Alex. A very wealthy U.S. citizen is predicting that in 2011, we will witness the most important day in America in more than 50 years. He says it will change everything about our lives. The way you shop, travel, invest, educate your children, and even how you take care of your health and your own family. Now, this man has made some outrageous predictions over the years. The crazy part is, he's usually right. You see, he predicted the collapse of GM, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and America's biggest mall owner, General Growth Properties. In fact, Barron's called his work a dire prophecy. Recently, he created a video, which you can watch online for free, detailing his biggest and most important prediction yet. And it's a real eye-opener. I can't stress this enough. You should at least watch this free video online today. He explains everything you need to know, including simple steps you can take to protect yourself. You can find the video at www.endofamerica.com.